Marjorie, who started this business in 2004. I'm 20 years old now. I started it when I was 2. So we've been around for a long time. Before that, we actually owned a bakery shop right next door to the car wash in a little shopping center. My grandparents started that in 1996. So we've been here for about 30 years. So we know the neighborhood really well. We've seen a lot of different people come in, come out. And so yeah, we're excited to have you guys here. We did just open our butcher shop again next door. Same thing in our business. So yeah, we're happy to have you guys here and for coming and trying us out.
I started my career 20 years ago in the District 4 City Council office. So I actually spent about 10 years working in the City Council office, working with every single neighborhood across District 4 and helping folks in things like city homes, alleyways, dog parks, affordable housing, public safety, so day-to-day neighborhood issues, and then really big citywide issues that impact our quality of life. District 4 runs from 32nd Street to 61st Avenue. So from basically McDowell Road on the south to Glendale on the north, and it's zigzags around. But it's a huge district, 280,000 people in the district, and the city of Phoenix it's separated into 8 districts. So a lot of people don't know that. So I know you all are very engaged citizens, so I thought I would just give a high overview. Happy to answer any questions about that. I care about building safe, thriving neighborhoods. I think neighborhoods are the absolute foundation of our city. So thank you to all the work that you're doing in Coronado, amazing neighborhoods to live, and very cool part of the city of Phoenix. I think that means being very responsive to neighborhood issues. Because I was on staff for so long in the city council office, I really feel like it's important, and I know how much you can get done if you simply meet with neighborhood leaders and neighborhood groups and talk about what's important to them and really try to get that out of the city. It's not rocket science, it's super complicated. And I say that because my dad is that kind of size, so I feel like rocket science. It's like community work is really about passion and bringing people together and connecting people to ideas to opportunities, and I think that really creates a movement that can make our city a better place to live. In addition to working on building safe, thriving neighborhoods, I care about smart, intentional, responsible growth and development. So obviously Phoenix is the largest city in the country. We're continuing to grow. TSMC is bringing a lot of people here. Okay, it's 110 degrees or whatever, so our climate is not exactly what's bringing people there right now, but a lot of people come here from the Midwest, like me, to enjoy this beautiful weather that we have most of the year. And with all that growth, we really need to be intentional and responsible about what we're continuing to build. We hear a lot about data centers, and won't go into that. I'm happy to talk to anyone one-on-one, but that's not the most exciting topic for me. But we need to be able to grow in a way that's supportive of our neighborhoods and supportive of our community, and not taking resources away from the people that live here and are already living in this community. I also really
probably a stupid question.
Never.
My sister and I just completed our primary ballot. I did not see your name on it.
That's such a good question, actually. I'm so glad you asked that because I get that question all the time. I should have mentioned that. So, the city council election is in November. And so it's a nonpartisan election. And so the ballots that most of us have submitted or still have are the partisan primaries. And so we're not on that. So in November, we will have up to 8 candidates. I've heard different names of candidates running for District 4, which is the best district, so obviously there's a lot of interest in it. It's also the first time in 12 years that it's an open seat for a customer has been a council member for the last 12 years. So I worked for her when she first started, and she's been on council for quite a while. So we have a lot of candidates. Because it's a nonpartisan race, probably all of us, anyone who submitted their signatures to qualify for the ballot will be on the November ballot. And if nobody wins 50% of the vote plus 1 vote, top 2 vote winners will go to a runoff election in March of 2027. So that's probably the most likely scenario because with so many candidates, it's going to be pretty hard to get 50% of the vote. So I would anticipate, the way I think about it is November is kind of our primary, and then our general election is in March of 2027. Which is a little bit, it's unfortunate in my opinion because so many people know about like the general election, and so what we've seen in years past is like there might be, let's say 50,000 people in this district vote in November. We'll be lucky to get 5,000 people voting in March of next year. It's a city-only election, it's not going on people's radars, we really have to work hard to get the word out, we have to really turn out and vote. Which I think is unfortunate because I love the democratic process and I wish that our leaders were chosen by fortune or electorate, but that's how
Our
it is.
neighbor has one of your signs on her lawn.
Oh, good. Okay, let's meet. Who's your neighbor?
I only know her first name, Cindy.
Oh, okay. Great.
Sydney?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, she's great. She's really cool, actually. She's a tech founder. Okay, any other questions or anything in your mind? Okay, we've got the gentleman in the back. Oh, he's asking, suggesting that you go first. Ladies first. Here.
So I think what you were speaking about, how hard it is to get people to turn out to vote, maybe this is just me, but I think I'm looking at everything on this remote, it's all pretty, but I think the piece that doesn't connect for me, I think is reputable, is like what can you actually affect as a city council member? Like, yeah, does that kind of make sense? That's the trick. Okay, got it. That's actually probably the most important part because I get such a lot of right now, not even talking about the district, and that's another question that I get a lot. So what is the city council actually doing? So in my opinion, like the most important thing that a city council member does as our city council office is serve as a liaison to like neighborhoods, schools, people have access to. Sometimes the city can be really difficult to navigate. If you've ever called neighborhood services or had trouble with getting your water turned on or your garbage picked up or you want to speed hump, anything like that, a lot of like neighborhood residents, neighborhood leaders will call their city council office and say, hey, I need an advocate because either no one's returning my call, or I can't get done or anything done, or sometimes like I helped a lot of businesses like along the Melrose district when I was on the staff, and a lot of small businesses with like important footprints and they needed help getting like certificates of occupancy inspections of their business open, but they didn't fit neatly into that like box that we development fits into. So we needed someone to help them work with like planning and development department to make sure that they did it. So to me, it's a lot of serving as a liaison, serving as sort of a, I like to think of it as like a chief marketing officer type of role where you really promote the district and like try to attract great businesses and especially very small businesses
But in the charter, they vote on the budget, so they approve the city budget, which, city budget includes fire and police, public safety reports, streets, like streets and streetlights, crosswalks, all that is paid for. Parks, water, that's all paid for within the city budget. So it's like basically how your taxpayer dollars to the city are allocated to provide community services. And then they hire the city manager. So that's a really important job because in the city of Phoenix, the city of Phoenix, like the mayor and council are kind of like the board of directors, and then the city manager is kind of like the CEO of the city. So that's the person that's like executing all the day-to-day work of the city. And so the city council actually works on making that person. So that's what we actually were important role, and I even are paying attention to who the city manager is, but you know that really sort of sets the tone for the city. So by charter, like really those are the responsibilities. But then they also the council will also vote on zoning matters. Right. So if somebody wants to come in, like say someone wanted to come in and build a 20-story building across the street, they can go through a rezoning process, and then the city council, there's a whole process for it, like they go to planning committees and a citizen appointment, or a citizen planning commission, and then the city council works on it, so they can vote on things like that. So that's where those relationships with between the city council member and the neighbors are really important, so that we can have great conversations about like what sort of development you want to see. Because the city council members usually don't vote on that. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm sure there's more.
That's okay, but at high level, I just wanted to like have see a little bit more of the full picture. So
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really important question too, because it, you know, obviously what's on the top of mind for a lot of people is the future of our democracy, like protecting our community from like ICE, you know, immigration policy, and those things really, like, the city doesn't directly impact or vote on any of those things, but, you know, the council also has a role in, like, setting the tone of the city, the reputation of the city, and, you know, when I was at the council previously, I don't know if you all remember when SB 1070 was happening, and so we actually had to decide if the police department was going to enforce immigration. That was still unknown. If the Phoenix police was going to enforce federal immigration policy and state immigration policy. And so the city, like, we had really, really difficult conversations because the council actually at that time was not all in alignment. And so they ultimately voted not to, and the city of Phoenix still does not enforce federal immigration policy. But that's something that doesn't neatly fit into a box, but it's something that the city council would like decide on. So when things like that happen, it is up to the council, like what direction to take, you know, on bigger policy matters. So another issue that came up recently that a lot of people I'm canvassing, I'm focusing on was the city council recently voted to prohibit or to drastically limit the distribution of food and medical care in parks. So basically, right now there's a number of like mutual aid groups and homeless services groups, folks that serve the unhoused population with health care and food and water and little bars and things like that. The city voted to severely limit the ability of people to do that in public parks. And I think it was a bad decision. I don't think that's the right thing to do. I mean, obviously, we want to have safe parks that our whole community can use and feel comfortable in. But I think from a public health perspective, we really didn't have enough dialogue about that policy. I don't think there's consistent data. So there are policies like that that the entire city council will debate and vote on, and those will impact not just day-to-day, like not just the day-to-day operations of the district, but that'll have an impact citywide. So
We're in Westwood. So how many people are in the district?
250,000 people live in the district.
280,000?
Yes.
How many square miles? More or less.
Ooh, that's a great question. I don't know. Okay, I'm stumped. But,
The boundaries you explained is probably about 5 to 10 square miles.
okay.
I would estimate.
I
That's a lot of
mean, it's
people.
just 5 miles going up to Glendale from Gallo, right? So you have.
And then 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's 32nd. It's 32nd in McDowell, and then it sort of zigzags up to like 7th Avenue in Glendale, across to 19, and then basically Camelback, down to Osborne, and then up to 61st Second. So it's not that entire square, but I mean it's a pretty huge. It covers a huge swath of Central Phoenix. So most of the historic districts, like the Melrose District, 7th Avenue, and then kind of uptown, or central Camelback, and then like a big chunk of Maryville and West Phoenix. So Maryville, basically from the I-17 west, is represented by District 4, District 5, and District 7. So District 4 is a huge district like that. So I'm happy to get back to you.
Is there a statistic on how many of those 280,000 people actually vote?
Well, there are about 93,000 registered voters within those 280,000. And I think that's what all the consultants get paid to figure out is how many of those folks are actually going to vote. We're projecting that in this session in November is probably going to be higher turnout than usual. There's just a lot that people are paying attention to. And so we think we'll probably have higher turnout than usual, but maybe 50% of those folks will vote. So optimistically, like 50,000. Out of 280,000 person district, probably 50,000, give or take, are likely. So we are working very hard to make sure that we reach as many of those people as possible, and to make sure that we get our vote.
Thank you.
What else is on your mind? What else are you all working on?
I have a specific question about
Okay.
this. Are you guys able to affect like flock cameras coming into neighborhoods?
Yeah.
Yeah? And can you prevent that?
That I would love to.
Cool.
That would be something that the city would contract with.
Mhm.
Here's the way I think about
But
it.
don't neighborhoods have to sign off on being like accepting of something like that?
I don't know all the details on
Okay.
that. I was following it a little bit in Flagstaff, because a friend of mine is a
Heavy.
council member up there.
Yeah.
So the city would need to sign the contract. I don't know about the consent of the neighborhood. I think that's something that like we have to have a community-wide discussion on. I like data, so I think if they're like, we need to consider all the elements. So if there's like some reliable, good data that says that these cameras are significantly reducing crime without offsetting privacy, I think it's worth a conversation. But the privacy issue is really concerning to
Yeah,
me.
people don't want to be filmed when they're walking their dogs so that somebody in a data center can know where they're at and what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there's a creepy factor to it.
Yeah, I'd say it's at 100%.
But for the most part, I'm willing to have a conversation with a group of people, and I actually really think it's important to have a conversation with a group of people that don't all necessarily agree, so that we can kind of try to figure out like where different members of the community are coming from and hear different perspectives. In general, but
Sure.
yes, not loving problems.
Cool.
To answer your question.
Great.
If you don't mind, we do have one more guest, and
Yeah.
we do have other content to cover. If you want to stick around and talk
I
about
will stick
it
around.
after, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for great questions. We don't want to limit that. We just have some other stuff we want to cover tonight too.
Perfect. I think we have a sign that you play around. If you're interested in learning more, taking a yard sign, having me come out to another group or like a small group of neighbors or just a little house too. I'm happy to meet with as many people as possible. We're always looking for canvassers and campaign helpers if you want to get involved and start having neighbors and get them involved. I would sure appreciate it. So please sign in. And yes, I will stay. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And then our second guest, oh yes, please grab food. There's some quesadillas, there's tacos. It looks delicious. But I'm not sleepy. So please grab food. There's also plenty of chips and salsa. This is not my personal chips and salsa. It's a grocery store. And then anybody come on up.
Okay, come up front.
Oh yeah, please.
Probably better than everybody having to turn the chairs
I'm
around.
sorry, I was super busy right before as everybody was arriving and I should have kind of introduced myself. So, come on over.
Okay, good. Muy bien. Las tortas son muy buenos. La salsa es perfecto. Those because I ate the I'm just kidding. Good food. I've heard about the place. First time I've been here. I am Robert Silas Griffin, co-author of my dad's Christian biography. You want to read the rest of the story about my life? Buy the book. It's online. It's better than the movie. No movie yet, of course. According to my notes, the last meeting I attended for Coronado neighborhood was December 24, so it's been a while. My wife and I are directors of the Southwest Indian Missionary Association with our offices in the Coronado neighborhood. There's our brochure. You're the president, right? And the iconic, people have told us there's an icon here in the neighborhood with this light on at night. It's been like burning at night for 30, 40 years. Longer than I can remember. It's never burned out, so I don't know, maybe it's a miracle. I don't know. We met the founders of this organization about 1984 in Colorado. My wife and I have been doing missionary work for a long time, Christian evangelical, independent and non-denominational. And the same thing with the founders. They started this work in 1945 in Albuquerque, came to Prescott, and by 1950, they had bought a house in Bel Air, subdivision to the northeast of Westwood, where we live presently, part of the time. This neighborhood, I'm a retired history teacher, so if I give you a little history, please understand. 105 to 110 years ago, this whole area was an alfalfa field, surrounded by orange groves, maybe some olive groves. Mr. Hurd subdivided the land into one 5-10 acre parcels so people could have a house, garden, a cow, maybe a horse and a buggy to get around. And it was called Homewood Tract. Palm Lane was known as Homewood Lane. And about 1920, between 20 and 25, somebody built a house among some of the earlier houses in what is now Coronado neighborhood at the corner of Homewood Lane and 10th Street. Now it's Palm Lane and 10th Street, where the church building is. And about 1941, the Swiss Evangelical Mission Church in California bought the property, chopped off the west side of the house, built on the wraparound slump block addition. And what you're looking at here is the core of the old house. You get up in the attic and you can walk around up in there. You look to the south and there's these twin gables. The old roof is in there. And it's like, is this where they got the idea for Annie or Green Gables? It's kind of spooky. You get up in there and you see this old roof under the roof that was built in 41. So what you're looking at is 1941. No outside changes other than cosmetic. Inside, other cosmetic changes. 1956, the Mendenhalls came along, bought the property, and started the Indian Chapel. Because as I understand, the way things were in 56, 57, when they incorporated, the area of the interchange, 51, 202, and Interstate 10, all those curves and overpasses and underpasses and freeways, that was kind of the across the tracks area. A lot of Native Americans, other minorities lived in that area. I don't know how political it was, but Interstate 10 came along in the 60s and wiped all that out. It did affect this church. They renamed it the Missionary Chapel in the 70s or 80s. We came along in the 80s and we were given an assignment to be a pastor in Mexico, in Aconchi, Sonora River Valley. And we still have a field office down there. And I was asking about the population density because I go down there often. In fact, I'm going to go back down there for another month, toward the end of this month, to our field office, and our closest neighbor is in Aconchi, a mile to the north. The other way, the closest neighbor is a mile to the south in La Estancia. So there's nobody but me within a mile north and a mile south. Here in west of the states, we have thousands of people within the square mile around us. So wrap your mind around that. Down there I can think. Up here, sometimes I can't think. Not only because of the heat, because of the noise and stuff. Anyway, we had no idea that in May of 2017, we would be handed the responsibility and the keys to this organization, which is still a 501c3, still registered with the state of Arizona, no audits, no lawsuits. The light's been burning on the roof there for, I don't know how long. It's a fluorescent light. They do burn out. But this one's been going and going. Maybe it's time for the energizer bunny today. Anyway, we are considering affiliating with the Free Will Baptist denomination. Actually, they don't consider themselves a denomination. It's more of an association. Free Will Baptist Association of Nashville, Tennessee. We have discussed the possibility of partnering and carrying forward some community ministry as well as national and international ministry. And there are 3 Free Will Baptist churches in Phoenix: Mesa, North Valley, and Buckeye. The church in Buckeye has a ministry to the homeless, or someone in their church is ministering to the homeless downtown somewhere. They have proposed to us, since we're in Midtown, that this site would be perfect to be a part of that ministry to the homeless. And I'm hoping you don't take it the wrong way, but the homeless population, I see it as composed of 3 groups of people. There's some really decent people out there, down on their luck. They need help, they want help, and some of them are actually trying to help themselves, but sometimes it's hard to get traction and get off the street. It's hard. Put yourself in their shoes. There's another segment that are not so good. And then there's a segment that are not good. How do I know all these? Well, we've had some experiences here. And I'll take it from your email that the neighborhood has had something happen, the issues perhaps. I wanted to clarify that tonight. We've had some people come here and determine that this is going to be their home. Camping out in the parking lot between the buildings, doing what they want to do and whenever they want to do it with no permission. So we've tried to help some of these people, and we've had to ask some of them to leave. And it got to the point where we had to get to the root of the problem and call the police. And we actually have an arrest order. If the police come by the place and see something that they think is out of order, they can make an arrest without our permission. It really got that bad. One of the guys that thought he was gonna live there, had a warrant, actually several warrants, he had been in jail before here in Phoenix. His girlfriend picked him up and was gonna turn him into the police. He caught window and jumped out of the car at 40 miles an hour. Somehow survived that and was hiding in a field watching the police looking for him. He got away. He said, and some others have told me the same story, they don't go to the encampment or to the feeding centers because there's too many predators within their own ranks. Okay. So then, what are we going to do? We don't have a feeding center. We don't have dormitories. We don't have baths. We have approached St. Mary's Food Bank about reactivating a food distribution center for the community, for Coronado. And thinking about it, if we want to help the homeless, in terms of the community, Coronado, probably 98% of the people are living in homes. They're not homeless in Coronado. They're homebound people. So we want to help the community, first and foremost, in whatever way we can. Now, the group that's dealing with the homeless are preparing food, I don't know, sack lunches or, carry out training, I don't know what they're doing. We need to find out more about it. But it came up in the conversation they would like to use the facility as a feeding center for homeless. And with our prior experience already, it's like, gotta think about that one and maybe pray a lot about it, because we do not intend to open this church facility to unvetted people that we don't know, you don't know, and we're surrounded by, I would say, a very decent community. I feel very uncomfortable about attracting, dozens, hundreds, weekly. I don't know how often. I hesitate to do that. So I wanted to ask you guys, how do you feel about doing stuff like this as a community?
I think as far as to respond to, this is actually the first that I've really heard about this situation, so I'd love more time for our community to kind of consider what this means for us and to us and all of that. I also do want, I think this is, very important work that he's doing in the community and or in other communities. We have some other content as well, so I'd love if maybe people want to ask some questions about your services for a few minutes, and then, or just better understand the issue that you're presenting with us.
It might be, I don't know, it might be better for you guys to mull this over, talk about it, and call us. We have the contact information, email us, text us. We want to get a feel for what the community feels. We really don't want to use the site for feeding because it's too small. And then bringing a lot of people into the community that we can't guarantee anything.
I think another approach that you might also consider is this is great to outreach, getting feedback, but I think also understanding. Not everybody here at this meeting is going to understand. Provide you a total feedback of what the homeless situation is in the world. So, and I don't just based on what you presented here today, it doesn't seem like you have your finger on the pulse very well either.
Not very well.
So
we've not done anything like this, and we hesitate to jump into it with all 4 feet without some input from the community.
yeah, which is appreciated. My suggestion is getting that. How do you intend to get that input outside of the 10 people here that possibly will give you feedback? My suggestion is try to create something that we can send out because it's a big issue.
It's a big issue.
There's a lot of input. There's other churches and communities that are attempting to tackle this in different ways. And now you would be a great resource if all that kind of somewhat coordinated. I think would be great.
And I think we know of some individual leaders who are very active in helping and house who are in the community, and so they connect to contact information for them. I don't know what they're seeing today. I don't know how I feel about it, to give you a lot of information on that, especially today.
The input from our Brotherhood insurance provider was that our liability insurance policy premium would go up. So that's cause for thought, yeah. So, yeah, the community's important. We want to hurt, we don't want to hurt the community, we want to help as much as we can in the way that we can. And I'm not sure that bringing a bunch of people in to feed them here daily, weekly, whatever, that may not have a good outcome. I don't know. There are plenty of sites around the city, like Church on the Street, Teen Challenge, Dream City, that do that sort of thing. We're really not prepared to do that.
Well, why don't we go connect you for one, like the city of Phoenix, their liaison's office, but also some of the neighbors who really work with those folks right now and better understand this both as the other.
As far as the food distribution points for St. Mary's, include that in your thoughts too. Just for the community. You know, people present their city water bill that are in the community, if they need food, they can pick it up.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. We're gonna do some CNA updates. There's definitely, we tried to make sure this summer that we had a lot going on. Membership report, we'll just quickly, 376, this, we're talking about having some improvements coming to this. Hopefully your members, and if not, please sign it. Treasure report, I wasn't here in June, I was traveling, but we did hear a lot, maybe I'll have you guys this as treasurer. So the next couple of slides, the budget kind of thing, and then the giving program.
Yeah.
And then I can come back with the grants.
Sounds good. I'm going to defer to you on grants, if that's still.
Yeah, I'll spread it.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So here's our kind of snapshot of our financials right now. For those of you that are regular attendance, you know this comes up every month. Very little change month over month. As those of you who don't know, this is like the slowest time of year for us because we make Coronado. Yeah, it's not going. The last meeting, somebody asked a question, why is this number so high? And we have some updates on that. So we'll do that. Yeah. I'll just leave it at this. So, well, if you're sitting loads it up, just for those of you that are not aware, for a 501c3, kind of like best practice is to maintain a certain amount of cash on hand operating expenses. So our number that we have an account that 150 days is significantly higher than what we going cash on hand to maintain operations. So we put forth a budget, which we signed off on the board to spend some of this down. The last 4 or 5 years during COVID, we were in kind of like a savings, collecting money and like holding on to COVID security mode, but now we feel comfortable that we can start expensing this budget down. So what we have decided to allocate to this year are all kind of Coronado specific investments that are open to CNA members, and hopefully you'll find great value in your membership as a result of some of this. So really quickly, just going through each one, we are allocating some funds to Plan Forward, which is a new initiative that we're doing this year, helping neighbors propagate and share plants. So we will have a reimbursement mechanism in place for things like soil fertilizers and sort of propagation type tools for Holly's program that she's spearheading. So there's a little bit of money available for that if you're interested. Kind of submit your bill to us and we'll reimburse you for some of it. I'll have more details in an email coming out later. We're going to put a small amount of money into our community libraries for those of you that know them and love them like me. We're going to put a little bit of money into kind of sprucing up some of them. So like the yarn library, maybe add some resources to that. We've got a knickknacks library. We're talking about a paint library. So having a little bit of money just to kind of spruce up some of the things that make our neighborhood community significant. We're allocating 5K to members in East and South Coronado, so east of 16th Street, south of McDowell, for any member-led initiatives that they want to do in those parts of the neighborhood. We don't have any ideas for that. We're just allocating it to the side. If you have something you want to do with that side of the hood, reach out to us and we can figure out a programming for that. My favorite one, we have agreed to co-sponsor murals in the neighborhood. If you are a resident and you're looking at doing a mural, the conditions are it has to be a public-facing wall so that everyone can see it, and it has to be a local artist, and no politics, and no spam. That's pretty much that's kind of our rules. But we'll reimburse you up to 50% match with a cap, which again we'll explain this more in writing. But it's a good way to get some art on the walls, patronize some local artists. This came up in the last meeting and the previous one, speed cushion assistance. Without getting into the details, if you're looking to commission a study to see if you want a speed bump in your neighborhood, for those of you who aren't aware, there are some costs associated with that if the city determines that it's not needed, essentially, without getting into details. And if the city determines it's not needed, then there's some funds that we can help you pay for that, essentially. Again, more details forthcoming. And then finally, everyone's favorite TNR program. This is already allocated in our current budget this year, but we've increased it due to the amount of great work y'all are doing. For those of you that know, I am a dog person, not a big cat person, so I'm very much in support of TNR, but I also love our cats and want to make sure they're not. So, and you read my article with dispatch of dogs and cats. So I'm going to dispatch you to go over.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Is this the first time you guys have shared this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, this is really exciting. This is cool. And then, should you have material to share, or am I allowed to just share a little here and there? I'm impressed, and I like to see this kind of stuff.
Yeah, if you actually wouldn't mind waiting just a little bit, until
Okay.
we get some of the more specific language up and put it on our website.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Feel a lot more comfortable with that.
Okay,
We
cool.
just wanted to show that we are actually investing in our community. We feel very comfortable as an organization financially and feel like we're in a good spot to put more back into it. And so these are some of the initiatives. We still have giving program, but that's kind of retooling a little bit just based on the spend or not lack of spending that's happened there. So we'll communicate more about just kind of overall financial renovation.
Yeah.
The first item, are those trees or shrubs?
No, so Allie, do you want to speak quickly to?
Sure. So Planted Forward is basically an effort to bring together people who love planting, maybe want to focus on decreasing their water consumption. So this is going to be through education efforts. We do have an event this Saturday. That's our first Master Gardener lecture series. And then things like demo days and sharing plants around the neighborhood. So that's what that's about. Yeah.
Quick question, where is it going to be Saturday? I know that shouldn't be sure where is it?
Yeah, it's going to be at the Authentic Ethio African event. The cafe on McDowell, they opened up a coffee shop. So from 10 to 11, they're opening early just for us. So come enjoy some coffee at CNA and learn about water.
So we'll have more stuff in writing that we can kind of more fully commit to and verify and all of that. So definitely once we have that out there, feel free to promote and celebrate that. That would be great. Sorry, friends. Just come on, we're not ready for population right now. Oh, it's over there.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we did it. So let's get through getting programs. So grants, as much as we just said we're going to be spending more money, that's also true because we are receiving more money from different grants. So we just received news that Phoenix Council District 4, their what they want to fund, and they recommended $4,500, and so we're hopeful that council will approve that. And we get that be for the spring Lopedia event, or maybe 2 events next year for Lopedia, or we can also see if we can kind of expand on that. And then lastly, we also have the neighborhood block watch grant. First, I want to talk about wrapping up the 2025-2026 grant. We had just shy of $15,000. It was like $14,996 or something. We have gotten the bulletin board refurbishment process underway. I would expect just a couple of weeks. Brian Johnson, who's our shed tender, has been working on that. You've seen the video of the shed. He's working on those. We have encountered the lawn and oval park inspection no longer there. So we're going to contact the city and see what's happened. And I want to Brentwood, the neighbors have been taking care of that one, and it looks fantastic right now. So we're talking about shuffling some of the funds that are given to him for labor and materials into some future or other similar kind of efforts. We also stayed up here. We want to celebrate community pride, and the reason community spirit and pride and showing that kind of visibly is really important is because it shows to people who are coming into the neighborhood that the neighborhood is cared for, that people are watching what's going on, that people are taking, like, seeing what's happening to their neighbors, right? It's kind of like the anti-broken windows thing. Like, if you see that people care for the space, maybe it'll become a safer space and support the safety efforts that we're also implementing. So Jake here on our team has designed these garden flags. So we are having these printed right now. We're going to have 20 of each flag. They look like this, but not white. And they're pretty fun. It's like our roots are in Coronado, or the very classic CNA logo, Coronado Phoenix, historically modern. Some cheeky ones that wave like you mean it. This block has good neighbors, small houses, huge hearts, Coronado, and then kind of like a welcome to Coronado. And these will be free. We are going to kind of let these, we still have to work out exactly the specifics of how we're going to roll this out. But we talked about letting CNA members have first dibs on them, and like one per household kind of thing. And then we can open it up to neighborhood overall, but again, they will be free. So that's pretty cool. And they're beautiful. And that's, I didn't even talk about this last year. And then it also funds one of our issue dispatch, which we paid for the next station. So then for the 2026-2027 year, we were awarded $14,917, just decreased a little bit. Some of the major items there are still dispatch, potentially 1 to 2 brand new bulletin boards, especially since we have one gone missing, but we want to identify spaces that don't yet have bulletin boards, like pushing East Coronado or Virginia Park or something like that. And then we have a variety of safety items, and the list is actually pretty long of what we're going to be purchasing with that. I just didn't want to fill up the whole slide, we can just have it full time. That's just Coronado spirit. So those are our grant money coming in thus far. I'm sure we will have more grants come up that we will apply for. We'll keep you updated about those as we go. Any thoughts on everything?
Honey, wait like you mean it.
Yeah. We also really do want to be kicking off with committees this year. This is something that's been a bit of a struggle the last couple of years, and really since I've been in the neighborhood. First and foremost, there's actually more than this. I got distracted in making this slide. But home tour committee. We have to be starting to plan home tour now. We really appreciate having a day of volunteers, but a lot of the work is done, imagine, before the day of home tour. Home tour itself, I believe, is February 28th of this coming year. It should be the 4th Sunday. I think that's the thing. And we need a lot of help. There's logistics, there's marketing, there's graphic design, there's
tour, how many homes are they
So
historic?
that's, I mean, that's a great
Exceptional
question, right?
homes.
Yeah. That's a great question. I'll go back to, there we go. The homes were, it varies from year to year about how many homes are on that. We usually aim for about 10. If you're thinking of it as large, that would be easy. It's pretty difficult to recruit homes. So that's another thing. If you live close to people who have awesome homes, please help us recruit them, right? It could also be garden. If you know someone who has an awesome garden, but they don't really want to share their home, we can put a garden up to it. So aim for about 10.
The
Yeah.
reason I ask is about the church building, because the core is
Yeah, yeah.
1920,
Oh, yeah.
the wraparound is 1941, and it's still the same.
You can absolutely do
Maybe
that.
you can have an elevator, you can look at the loft if there's great angles.
You could absolutely do that. The Sikh temple, the Coronado, has been on the tour multiple times also. So, yeah, that's a good idea. Totally in. Would you agree? Take that chance. Thank you for bringing that up. So Home Tour is a big street fair that's at Coronado Park that attracts usually about 1,400 attendees. The street fair itself is free. Home Tour tickets, depending on when you buy them, $25, maybe less. Or if you're a member, they're less. You'll see more coming out of that. Dispatch committee, we do have somebody who's interested in sharing that. We have Joey who's been such a rock star helping us actually design and publish these and get them together and helping us get content and everything. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but if people are willing to jump in. We have I have heard from a couple of other people who are interested in helping as well. So this one feels like the most likely committee to come together outside of just the info. And then we actually have Clara, who was on the board the last year or two, starting the fund committee. She was already in charge of kind of the Distract Fridays that we've been doing the last year and a half or so. We don't do that in the summer, it's just way too hot for that. But she wants that to be part of this fund committee, and we have other just kind of fun events and gatherings. So if that's really more yours, please let us know. And then we do have a couple more that we discussed. Like I said, I'll get a webpage, you'll get a webpage about the committee and how to get involved.
Oh, yeah, just really quickly on this, so I normally organize these. Coronado Park is like a default location when we don't get suggestions from the community, but we will do rally, we'll do, as long as you get involved. Send us a message, send me a message, treasurer@coronado.com. If you want like a spot cleaned up, we can do it, we can come next month in September or whatever, get on the calendar. But when we don't get any suggestions, it's usually Coronado Park.
Or if it's before a specific event, like before the Oak Street Hero Fest, we
Yeah.
try to do a Hero Fest. If it's before the video, that's probably just a park, for example. But we do want to, like we've done East Coronado over the last couple of months, that was great. And we did here. Yeah, give us suggestions for whether you might see some neglect and we might not already see it. And then moving forward, you were mentioning
This Saturday at the Authentic EBO African Cafe, they're opening early just for us, come get a coffee on CNA, learn about how to water wisely. And also, if you do come on Saturday, I had the chance to go out and salvage a bunch of totem pole cactus that were going to be otherwise destroyed. So it can be also our first kind of demo day. We'll learn about how to plant them, take care of them, and take them home with you.
another Coronado happy hour. So this one, Colin's been doing this will be Wednesday, July 15th, 5 p.m. at the main ingredient. We're going to head over there to one of our favorite businesses to really support our neighborhood. So raise a glass to the neighborhood, chat with neighbors, eat the meat, sort of ish. Yeah, we have this version inside. But we do love hang out over there, and then we're gonna probably explore a few other spots, but keep it to a few of our really active watering holes that we would use around. And then lastly, Coronado Pool Party, Saturday, July 25th, at 12 p.m., probably until 4 p.m., I think. If there's anything you want to say, we've done these the last 2 years in partnership with District 4, and they bring a big obstacle course into the pool. So you can, yeah, adults are allowed. Yes, adults are allowed to go on the obstacle course that's in the pool. There'll be sweet treats. We'll have, you know, non-alcoholic beverages, but I guess BYO, like, don't tell anybody. But it's family friendly, kind of fun. We really want to see you there, and this is really when the pool is about to close for the summer. So let's send it out.
Closes on the 26th.
Oh, yeah,
It's,
there you go.
basically the last day.
That is what we have for the evening. If you have questions for us, please, you can throw them out now, throw them out loud now, or come up and talk to us, however you want to do that. We are happy to hear from our neighbors.
I like that you guys did it here. I've never been here before. That's why I finally made it, and I love that we have so many independent businesses. It's been bouncing around, so I love that it's like an opportunity to check it out. You know.
Thank you, that was great. Chris, love the effort on getting us over here.
Membership can be done online.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry.
For your guys' giving program, what are the 4 things that you guys did? Because you spent this for a little bit, I was just curious.
I'm sorry, the 4 things of what?
Giving
Under the giving program.
Oh, so it's shifting a little bit. So what we did have was like charitable giving, we had Coronado Kids, arts and culture, and then safety. And we found that, and the safety also incorporated at the time the chapter released the TNR program. We were finding that a lot of people weren't applying for this free money that we were giving away if they just planned something or lead an initiative. A lot of the money really did end up going to TNR because we have very active folks in the community being
question is how, I know that you guys have a really strong arts program over here in Coronado, and with these grants that are coming up, how are you including other artists that haven't been connected to your neighborhood into contributing to the culture of Coronado?
Absolutely. That's a great question. I don't know that I personally would be a good person to answer that, but I think Joey might be a good person to answer that.
Well, I would wonder, I mean, we reach out this like online, like connect people that strike us, you know, for the mural festival, but like with this is something new and different, you know?
Right.
I mean, ideally they focus on like, get neighborhood artists in on it, but I don't know if there's a plan to connect with other people, like there's definitely networks of artists out there.
Right.
There's people you had in mind, or there's platforms you had in mind, I think it's all always of interest.
Yeah, I think we would, as far as that specific program, probably create like a sign up of local artists or just want their name on this list of like, hey, if I'm a resident and I want a public facing mural and I want support for that, who can I even go to? So we can help kind of break down some of the research for that, and then, you know, you got so many relationships that you can help connect us in some ways as well. But still working out some of the very specifics about how we would do that. But we just definitely want to see more neighborhood art that's benefits our community.
You said up to 50%, so that's not really covering hourly, that's basically if people volunteer to do art, and they want some of the supplies covered, probably, or events, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, the way we envisioned it for this year, everything you saw is like, we're gonna try it this year. And the way I envisioned it as somebody who's not an art person, I'm an Excel person, is success to me looks like at the end of the year, we've got 4 new murals in the neighborhood, made by local artists, and the neighbors that commissioned those artists received $2,000 in reimbursement in some capacity. So I don't know what like a typical mural costs, but it would be for reimbursement to $2,000 per mural. And as long as it's local, non-political, non-profane, we're good.
But is that directly through the people who are hanging up their walls? Like,
Yeah.
so, okay, so it's their decision and which artists they bring on. It's not a choice of the neighborhood there.
Right, it would be, we want it to be a local artist, so if we're gonna bring in somebody from like Chicago or whatever, that's not gonna be eligible, but if, you know.
But is that different from these grants that you guys are receiving?
The ones that we are.
'Cause it seems like there's multiple funds for arts that you guys have.
So the grants that we're receiving entirely separate bucket, because that's money given to us from the city, and then this is kind of our own, I suppose, corpus that we're dedicating to neighbors. We just want neighbors to lead some of these initiatives as
Gotcha.
well. That's why we have the giving program. Like last year, we funded some neighbors wanted to do the Oval Park Easter egg hunt, or one neighbor planned Halloween, where it was kind of like a porch concert series right around Halloween, and multiple houses hosted like emo bands. And so it's, you know, really about celebrating when others are getting involved and active in the neighborhood, and others are welcome to participate. Or we've often funded like some safety initiatives. One that sounds silly, but actually like this matter was funded a couple of years ago. There was a hive of bees around about 12th and Oak, and so we helped pay for that to be removed and whatever bee people do.
The arts grant that they did for the Loteria, and then they got different neighborhood artists to do the cards for it.
Oh, but that's a grant that we received
Right.
versus the giving.
I think I was going to ask you about that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You guys
Okay,
giving
yeah.
money away, or just all of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, full disclosure, I'm a mural artist in downtown Phoenix. I ran into Chris recently. We used to work together, and I was invited to this event. It's pretty fantastic to see everything that's going on. And then, of course, I pay very close attention to all of the things that are going on over here. But art, murals, and engaging with the community and having, like, members of the community come out and physically help the creation of the mural and engaging with people in a different way where maybe the news can come out, something like that, where there's a lot of attention paid to the experience of creating something that is for the betterment of a community that's going to be long-lasting and help develop the culture.
I love that. I mean, I could see that falling outside of the actual mural bucket and into a community event bucket, right? So still a giving program, if somebody else is kind of leading the charge here.
Cool.
But I could see it fitting a little bit more into that kind of more general.
How can I do about finding a location first, right? Who's wall available, what wall it is, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
And coordinating so we can help promote too and all of that.
Yeah.
But
East and
It's
South
like a
Coronado
reimbursement, yeah.
could work for that, for
Yeah.
example.
And our grants are, paid as reimbursement, so we would want to see the receipts for, and a proposal for how you intend to spend it, and then just kind of making sure, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
First-
Related to his input, we, since Coronado is in the arts district and the chapel is in Coronado, we have considered having some Native American artists come in, do a wall mural, painting, something, basically indigenous themes, historic perhaps, and also have, host a venue for artists to come in and sell their paintings, silverware, turquoise, whatever, pottery, maybe once a year. And that's still in the thinking, planning stage. How would that go over? Whether we're not
Sounds great.
financial, we're not looking for money, we just wanna do it.
We do have an art tour that we have done annually for the last few years, and that was been rated at that.
Artist studio tour, like a hundred.
And that, like,
Nice
even
tour.
just the booths that you're
Yeah.
talking about where they can sell their.
Okay.
craft. Yeah, we think that's a great fit for the neighborhood. Oh, and then, yeah.
I moved here from Philadelphia, and Philadelphia Rural Art Society is huge in Philadelphia. They would sponsor community pink days, and you went to big, early painting. It was like paint by numbers. If you ever fly into Philadelphia, Philadelphia International Airport, the garage, has a huge mural called How Philly Dances. I helped paint two of those dancers. So a community paint day, if you could ever do it, does bring in a huge number.
Yeah, I actually have a location, I'll just chat with you guys in a minute if you guys want.
Okay, stop.
All right, sounds like we have some fun gift program opportunities coming. I know we are over past time here, so thank you all. I'm still here if you want to come chat while we clean up, and also any of our board sticking around. I know some have to get going, but we're happy to have you here. There's still food, so please keep eating what we've got out here. Thank you for spending your evening with us. Thank you for being engaged in your neighborhood.
It's Jesse Terry. Yeah, Joey. We painted an Elm Street for a month.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm gonna try to leave my phone here.